And welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And this week, we're going to go to a ballet with a little bear at a circus.
Does he drive a tiny little car?
He drives a tiny little car and goes...
Sweet.
Right? Is that where we're going?
Yes. I like that ballet.
Okay, yeah. The normal ballet, right?
Yes.
That's the normal ballet. The other one is the one that Homer has to go to?
Yeah, well, he's supposed to go to.
Yeah, but we'll tell you what happens in that instance.
Yeah, so this week we are talking Season 5, Episode 6, Marge on the Lam. I wonder where this is going. I totally forgot that, by the way, I forgot that this episode was in this season. I thought it was a later season. Air date was November 4th, 1993. And our recap, when Chief Wiggum pulls over Marge's neighbor, she flees because she stole her ex-husband's car.
Yeah, I almost forgot that they were neighbors.
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden, Ruth shows back up. You know, I feel like, okay, so we got Ned Flanders on one side of the house.
Yes.
And we got Ruth Powers and the daughter on the other side of the house. And yet we never see them except when it makes sense for an episode, I guess.
I don't know. We see the Flanders. This is a lot.
No, I'm saying that we see the Flanders all the time, but Ruth Powers and daughter Powers.
Yes.
What was her name? Laura Powers. We see her never.
Yep.
I think this is the last time we even see them anyways. We'll have to keep an eye out. But
Nope. There is one other episode that Ruth Powers has a speaking role.
Okay. All
right. So no chalkboard gag this week. This is like, I don't think we've had a chalkboard gag at all this season.
No,
maybe the first episode?
Yeah, I guess so. Because, well, not this week. Last week was Halloween. The week before that, no chalk. Homer Goes to College was no chalkboard. But we did get one for Barbershop and Cape Fear. So
Okay.
Maybe they're just sitting back, writing some up. You know, they'll be like, okay, we're going to not do a couple chalkboard gags for a few episodes. And we'll build up a good supply of them. And
like it's been a while since they've done a full opening sequence.
Yeah, but at least we're getting some couch gags, right?
Yeah, our couch gags.
And not repeat couch gags.
I know, this is brand new. The Simpsons run into the den, but they run through the wall because the scene is just a backdrop.
Like Looney Tunes, right?
Yeah, like Looney Tunes is painted onto a wall and they run right through it.
And it's kind of funny because I feel like in the past episodes and now some of these future episodes, we're getting a lot of like Looney Tunes references.
Oh yeah, the next episode for sure has a Looney Tunes reference. So
I think it's getting kind of a little bit out there, a little bit funny. Now remember, we're to assume Homer's in a coma, so all of this all of this shenanigans is all in his imagination, which
especially next week's episode.
Yes. So let's open up. The Simpsons are watching PBS. So I do like how PBS is obviously now in the Simpsons universe. We've had it in the past. We got it, in this one.
Hey, Steve, do you believe in Jeebus?
I do.
God, I can't wait for that episode.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of ways, I think.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, so we have a guy on stage, and the opening scene featuring the humorist that the Simpsons find unfunny parodies Garrison Keillor, and his Minnesota-based public radio and TV show, A Prairie Home Companion.
Have you ever watched that?
I have never watched it. I've heard it on like the radio every once in a while because Shay listens to NPR here in Minnesota, so sometimes they put it on there, but it's on NPR in Minnesota quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never heard of it. It definitely doesn't sound funny. I mean, I've seen like TV trailers on like your old timey stations for Prairie Home Companion. Never watched it. I guess I don't think it's funny. I guess Simpsons definitely don't think it's funny.
That's why they're making fun of it.
Exactly. And so Bart blames the TV for not being funny, and Homer's like, "Be better, TV," and starts hitting it. Be more funny. I wish I could hit the TV and make it more funny, but that's unfortunately not how it works.
Oh, it's not?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, damn.
I mean, when the Simpsons are on, I try hitting the TV to say be more funny, and it doesn't work either. So, but these early seasons are definitely funnier than some of the later. Some of the later seasons do have their moments, which we'll obviously get to down the road. But yeah, some of them just definitely need to be a little bit more on the funnier side.
Correct.
But just like PBS usually does throughout the year, they have telethons.
Yeah.
And this telethon is not going very well.
No.
The pledges received by the Public Television Fund Drive are a mere $0,000,023.58.
Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever actually participated in a telethon?
On the phone side or on the giving side?
Either or.
No.
So, back in the day, and they still do it. One of my first TV station I worked for, they actually did a telethon. I used to work them, and they can be very exciting to do because there's a lot of energy and there's just so much going on, which I think helps for people to donate and want to donate. And obviously, with this PBS one, with this guy's humor, it's so dry. People don't want to donate, which is why they've only received $23.58.
Yeah, and the volunteers at the pledge drive are...
One of them's reading a book.
Yep, one of them's sleeping. One of them's reading. One of them's knitting. And one of them is staring vacantly into space, waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah. Usually when I did the telethon, because I did it for a few years, and it's for cerebral palsy. So if anybody would like to donate, and we have any listeners in the Wisconsin area, in the Northeast Wisconsin, please donate. It's a great cause. Yeah, the phones are always ringing. People are busy. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes at a telethon.
Yeah. So now we get Troy McClure. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such telethons as Out with Gout 88 and Let's Save Tony Orlando's House.
I did read somewhere that a band actually used that second one as a song title.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know who Tony Orlando is.
Tony Orlando is a guy.
Oh, good.
Who did things.
Who did things. And that stuff. Did he have gout too?
He was an American singer.
Oh, yeah, probably got to save his house then.
Yeah.
Because those singers, man, they need the money.
He was part of Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Okay. Never heard of him.
Nope.
So Troy says without support, they can't bring such great TV shows like Edward the Penitent. And it's just a guy saying, because you're really sorry. And the Pope don't like this.
Yeah. Because, as everybody knows, penitent means to, apologize.
Yes.
I did find that funny. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. The Pope doesn't like people who apologize.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, the Catholic Church is supposed to be about forgiveness.
Yep. So the phone rings, and Troy's like, what? And Homer's like, some idiot's calling in. And Marge is like, I'd like to pledge $30. And Homer's kind of upset because, it's free. Why are you paying these guys? And obviously people don't realize that, obviously, without funding, public television could go away. But on the
without public television, how would I watch Sesame Street?
HBO. Or
how would I watch? How would I watch New Sesame Street?
HBO Max.
Yeah.
I think it eventually gets on there. I don't know why HBO decided to buy the Jim Henson. Well, I don't know if they bought Jim Henson Corporation or part of it or subsidy of it. But yeah, you could watch all the old Sesame Street on HBO Max.
Gotcha.
And so Marge informs Homer that she got 2 tickets to the ballet, and Homer's like, "Woo!" And now Marge is confused because, and Homer's like, idea of a ballet is imagining himself at the ballet. Homer envisions a circus bear wearing a fez who drives an electric cart around in circles to the strains of calliope music. And Homer's and he's singing along to the scene in his head, and then it cuts back to the couch, and Homer's still doing it. So I don't think Marge realizes, what it is. And so Ruth Powers comes over because she wants to know if they have a power sander and if they could borrow it. And Homer's like, no. Marge's like, well, there's one right there. And I like how it's turned on, plugged in, and sanding the floor.
That doesn't seem like a good idea. Now, obviously, that's the visual gag, but...
Now, my question is, has that just been there this entire time they've been watching PBS? Was there a slight pause where Homer went to the garage to grab the power sander and plugged it in just for the joke to work?
Probably.
It's like, oh, Ruth Powers is coming over to borrow this. I better plug it in and make it look like my footrest.
Yeah. So Marge points out, as Steve said, that Homer has it. I love the fact Homer's like, now remember, this is my power sander, and we see the infamous property of Ned Flanders sticker on it.
Yep, it's his to give back to Ned Flanders. Never.
Eventually.
Or never.
Or never, because it's Homer.
Yep.
So after all that, Marge lends the power sanders to Ruth, and then I don't know if we cut to the next day or if it's dinner or what time this is. But Lisa is showing Homer a book of ballet, and it's just people dancing in it, and this deflates Homer because his thought of ballet was a bear driving a tiny car, which is let's face it, a lot better than watching people dance, in my opinion.
Yes.
And Marge is like, but Homer, you promised. And he's like, okay. And she was like, remember, Homer, you promised to go to dinner at my sister's, but you ended up doing that army experiment instead. Yeah. And we get a flashback where Homer is, unclothed, and a scientist is telling him the side effects of whatever they're giving him. And they're like, well, this includes hair loss, giddiness, and the loss of equilibrium. Yeah. So that partially explains why Homer doesn't have hair anymore.
Yes.
Even though he lost his hair because he had kids.
Yeah.
And so we cut back to Homer, who, he starts laughing about it. He's like, but it was worth it. And he falls out of his chair and he giddily laughs.
Oh my God. Yeah. I want those drugs. Whatever those drugs are, I want those drugs. I want to fall down laughing every once in a while. That'd be funny.
You want to fall down?
Okay, maybe not.
And lose your hair? You really want to lose your hair?
Well, the equilibrium... Okay, so the hair loss, probably not. The equilibrium thing, that's got to be like vertigo, man. I hear vertigo is bad. But the giggling could be funny. Just randomly giggling could be funny.
And so now we cut back to Homer is at work, and he's walking with Lenny and Carl.
Yeah, Carl's like, hey, Homer, want to go get a beer on the way home? I can't. I got to take my wife to the ballet. You're going to go see the bear in the little car, huh?
So apparently that's what the guys think the ballet is.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I've never heard of... I mean, every time I've heard of ballet, I always... assumed ballet, dancing.
Dancer, yeah.
But I've never heard of anything else. Like a
little bear. I feel like a little bear a bear driving a little car is the circus, not the ballet.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of that Homer thought of might have turned his phrase is there is a bear in the ballet The Nutcracker. And so maybe somewhere along the lines, it went from bear in ballet to bear driving in a car to a song, and now all guys think that's what's going on.
I've never been to a ballet. Have you been to a ballet?
I have. There was one of my ex-girlfriends forced me to go to back in college. So Yes, unfortunately, I've been to one, and it was I think I halfway fell asleep during it.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. So, so as they're talking, they walk by a vending machine at work, and the vending machine says, "Try new Crystal Buzz Cola," which is a reference to Crystal Pepsi, which ran from '92 to '94. Never actually. I don't think I ever tried Crystal Pepsi.
Neither have I, but Crystal Pepsi did come back like last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, or maybe I did buy. You know what? I think I bought the new Crystal Pepsi. I didn't try the original Crystal Pepsi.
No,
Not that there's probably a difference in flavor, and it's also really bad for you.
it's just clear.
Pepsi.
It's just clear.
What makes Pepsi brown versus clear?
Probably the caramel coloring that's inside of it. That's probably it. It's just a color. I'm sure it's just color. Because look at Sprite. I mean,
oh, that's true.
You could literally make Sprite any color you want, which they have, just by adding coloring.
That is true. Okay, that's fair. So Homer wants one because obviously it's new and it's Crystal Buzz Cola, but he doesn't have any money. So he decides to do what all sane people would do and stick his arm through the slot where the soda comes out.
Careful, Homer. I heard someone lost an arm in there. That's just an old wives' tale. And as Homer stretches his arm, winding up a path within the machine, and he sees a skeletal arm holding a can of Fresca.
That's amazing. Have you ever tried that?
Okay, so so if you guys don't know this, folks, but vending machines back in the 90s, it just started going over where they put a flap inside the vending machine where if you lift up the thing where you grab your food, a flap goes up so you can't reach up to the thing. There was a pretty big change over the 90s where vending machines either had or didn't have those.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely tried on the snack ones, not a soda one, because I knew what the inside of a soda one looked like. And so if you guys have ever cracked open a soda thing, all the soda cans are in vertical rows.
Yep.
In there, so there's really even if you could get your hand up there, there's no specific unless like this Buzz Cola one was only one soda. There's no specific way for you to reach your hand up and pick a specific soda that you would want.
Yeah.
Now the food one, now we'll get to it in a minute. The food one is definitely one that would make more sense.
Yeah. So my last job we had, and even my current job, we had soda machines from like probably the early 2000s, late 90s. And my last job, they had to replace it because we found out if you put, I think it was like 50 cents for a can of soda. If you put it in, you've put your 50 cents in and just held whatever soda you wanted. If you just held the button, the machine would just dump all of the cans out of the machine.
Nice.
So somebody, I don't know who, but somebody in the upper management found out and they took the soda machine away. Or the soda person figured out, hey, there isn't as much money in here as there should be as the amount of cans that we put in. And so they were like, oh, it's broken. But they're like, I got so much. And actually, that free soda is what got me to stop drinking soda, because I was drinking so much of it because it was so free. So, yeah, that was great. And so, Homer tries to get the soda out, but he gets stuck in the machine, and Lenny and Carl just run away. I don't know why.
Because they told Homer, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah, so he gets stuck, and so Homer is like, made promise to Marge, must go to ballet. And so he is dragging the machine with him as he's walking to a phone to call Marge. I don't know, those things are really heavy. I can't imagine you would be able to drag one with just your arm.
No, probably not. But he is holding onto a can of soda, so there is a force that's inside that's not moving. So Probably not. I mean, okay, so the only thing that I've ever been able to do is like shake vending machine to get the candy to drop. So once again, I feel like
which, by the way, people don't shake vending machines. You'll die.
Yeah, we learned that from Homer Simpson. But I feel like you could shake it a lot easier. Like not a can one. So can, I feel like, just has so much more weight to it.
Yeah.
Whereas snack vending machines are a lot lighter weight. I mean, they're still heavy, but they're a lot lighter weight because the product inside weighs literally nothing.
By the way, fun fact, there are 12 instances of people getting crushed by vending machines a year, and behind each one is Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Okay.
Do you not remember the Chuck Norris stupid fact stuff?
That was a long time ago.
No. Polling. It's a poll. So Homer's like wandering around yelling for help, but apparently nobody's there.
Not even the night watchman?
Yeah, there's like nobody at the plant. The plant is empty. So as he's walking around, he comes upon a candy vending machine and then gets his arm promptly stuck in that too. My question is, all right, here's the question.
Here's the question.
How
the
in the
$64,000 question.
How in the hell did he call Marge? Did he call Marge beforehand? And the phone rang, he tried for the candy, and then she picked up? That's the only logical conclusion I can come to.
I don't know, because I feel like he had to have dragged both vending machines to a phone, because they're both sideways as he's on the phone. So I feel like he would have had to drag both of them to a phone.
Did he use his tongue? Was he able to nuzzle the receiver in between his head and then use his tongue to press?
Well, okay, so back in the 90s, kids, now remember this, calling collect was a thing. So maybe he was able to dial 0 for the operator.
Oh, that's possible.
They connected, so that way you only had to hit one button.
That's true.
Remember, that's the 90s, man.
Yeah.
You could dial an operator or collect. And,
what's an operator?
Yeah.
And, so he somehow manages to call Marge to tell him, Marge, you're not going to believe this, but I'm stuck in 2 vending machines. And Marge's like, Homer, whatever you say. Now, this is twofold for me. On the one hand, that is very believable of Homer to do. Yes. Very believable. Because it is Homer. He is dumb. He would try this crap. And I would feel like Marge would believe him. On the other hand, nobody could be that stupid. So I could see Marge not believing him.
Yep. So,
it's a catch-22.
Yeah. So after Marge hangs up the phone, we see Patty and Selma are visiting, and Marge asks him if they want to go to the ballet, and Patty says, ballet is girl stuff.
Now, is ballet the lesbian? Or is
ballet
Selma
the lesbian?
Or is Patty
is not the lesbian?
Is Patty the lesbian?
I can't remember.
I can't remember which one of them was gay. I think it was Patty.
Yeah.
Which would make sense why she might not like the ballet. Now, granted, I mean, that's kind of a stereotypical thing to say that, lesbians don't like girly stuff, which is obviously not true.
Yeah.
But maybe if Patty is the gay one, maybe she doesn't like girly stuff.
Yeah. And so Ruth Power comes back over to return the power sander and complains about her husband, obviously, because that's exactly what she does.
Yep.
And Marge invites Ruth to the ballet instead. And so they go to the Springfield High School tonight. Professional ballet. Tomorrow, closed to fix gas leak.
Maybe that's why people enjoyed this ballet, because there was a gas leak.
Yeah, who's going to enjoy a ballet in a high school gymnasium? That was I like, but to be fair, I do like that they used the gymnasium's aesthetics.
Yes.
For the ballet.
Yes, they did. Although I have a question, and this is it's not skipping ahead. Burns and Smithers are there in a skybox. What high school, now granted, at Park, where we went to high school, you remember we had 2 gyms in that high school? There was the bigger one and the smaller one.
Yep.
In that smaller one, I do remember there being an upper level to it.
Yeah, well, so they can have like games and stuff in there. So for because the gym was, for all intents and purposes, it was tiny.
Yeah,
and so you couldn't put spectators anywhere but above them.
And that was where we played pickleball, which was amazing. But in the bigger gymnasium, there was no skybox.
No, it was. Oh no, I don't think that. I think that was McKinley that had that glass barrier over the pool to watch in the pool.
No, that was Park.
Oh, was that Park? Okay.
Yeah, Park had the glass barrier, I believe.
Yeah,
but that was the pool. That wasn't the gymnasium.
Yeah, so I guess no specific skybox, but I mean, if you're gonna do, I depending on if your gym has to double as your auditorium. I mean, maybe. But
why would you put a sky? Only rich, fancy high schools would probably have. If you went to a rich, upscale high school that had a skybox, please let us know, because I'd like to know what fancy ass high school puts a skybox in their gymnasium for that one rich family to watch their kid fail at sports.
Yeah. Well, Burns didn't like the ballet too much. He said there's too much dancing and not enough prancing.
That's such a great line. Good.
But I could see why Smithers would be there and liking it. So
yes.
So I like how the guy throws the woman at the basketball net. Like that's what he's like. That's like the ballet type stuff where they throw dancers and stuff. And she grabs the net and shatters the glass, and the horn goes off to end the ballet. So
that's fantastic.
I
love it.
I like the usage of the equipment in the gym.
Yep.
So I guess I don't know what the ballet was about.
Because a ballet.
Well, there's always like a story to it, like Swan Lake or Nutcracker.
It was about a woman who wanted to play basketball.
Ooh, good call. I like it. And so Marge thanks Ruth for coming out, and Ruth is like, we're not done yet. She's like, but it's almost 9:30. So Marge has an early bedtime, apparently.
I mean, I used to, depending on the job I had, I would go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. But nowadays, Marge
doesn't have a job.
Yes, she does. She's a stay-at-home mom. That is a job. It doesn't pay.
It doesn't pay well.
But it's a job.
Yeah. And now we cut to Homer at the plant, and he's sad because he thinks he's gonna have to have his arms in the vending machines forever. Which, hey, it might not be a bad thing because Homer brings him to Maggie's wedding, and he's happy about it. He's like, oh, this is gonna save me a lot of money on. But how's the food gonna come out if Homer's arms are still stuck in it?
Maybe they designed a mechanism in there but they couldn't get his arm out, but they could design a mechanism that helps him shoot the candy. It's also a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Why are you questioning this? Maggie still has her pacifier in this dream sequence.
And she doesn't say I do, so she's not technically married.
Maybe she didn't say I do, but with the pacifier in her mouth.
Oh, maybe. So the guy comes up and says he's going to have to saw Homer's arms off.
Yeah.
Will they grow back?
Sure.
I feel like there's still other ways to get someone's arms out of a vending machine besides sawing them off, but maybe not.
Well, there is, and we'll get to that in 2 seconds.
So the scientist guy is looking at Homer and is like, are you just holding onto the can? Yes. and so he was like, oh. But now my question is, was he holding on to some kind of gigantic candy bar to keep his...
Yeah, because if you look at a candy vending bar, they're put in those little bars, but there's a space where if you grab the candy just right, I feel like you could lift it up out of there.
Yeah. Candy's not going to... any sort of candy, chip bag, anything that is not going to keep your arm stuck in a vending machine. I would say your arm is more likely to be permanently stuck in a candy machine than a soda machine.
Yes. So one way to not get stuck in a vending machine is to not hold on to the can.
Yeah, just let go of it.
Yeah.
And we see Homer walking out of the plant. People are laughing at him, and he's ashamed, and then just all of a sudden runs off.
Well, I think I've done that before. Yep. Did something stupid, and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing, and just run away.
Yep. And so we cut to Jittery Joe's coffee shop, where the sign outside is a shaking hand grasping a cup of coffee.
Dude, that is fantastic.
That's good.
That's great. That's a great gag. And so we cut inside to the coffee shop where Ruth and Marge are having a conversation about their husbands.
Yep, and Ruth is like, I envy you and Homer. Thank you. Why? If you ever met my ex-husband, you'd understand. All he ever did was eat, sleep, and drink beer. Your point being?
So, the weird thing about this conversation is if we're going to take a step back into the Wayback Machine and go to the episode where Ruth Powers was introduced, in the episode New Kid on the Block, she described her husband as working all of the time. So workaholic. So did they forget about that aspect, or was she trying to cover for, her husband being an alcoholic?
Yeah. Both. Maybe it's just both.
Maybe he was a workaholic and alcoholic. I mean, I know tons of people who work in the television industry who are definitely alcoholics.
Well, you're in Wisconsin, so
that too. Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin in general is just alcoholism. There's 2 bars for every church in some cities.
Some of the bars are churches.
You are right. So, so Marge, tells Ruth not to give up on men. There's a lot of good men out there, and that's true. One of those men that are not good is Barney, and he just happens.
He just happens. Open your bathroom. I'll buy something.
And Ruth just goes. Oh my
god,
that's great. That's great time. But here's the thing: Barney would not be at that coffee shop. He'd be at Moe's. Let's be realistic.
Maybe he's trying to sober up for something.
To pick up Patty and Selma again?
Exactly.
Because that's a thing. And so, now we cut back to the Simpsons household, and Homer's, pacing, waiting for Marge, and she comes in, and he's like, "Look, the guy gave me a note to prove that I was stuck in these vending machines, and to prove to you I wasn't lying." And so she reads the note, and then the guy writes, "Well, while we were getting home run stuck, a lumber yard burnt down." And Homer's like, "Oh, lumber has a million uses."
Yep, they do.
Like burn. And so, Marge tells Homer she's disappointed in him for not coming out, but she had a really fun time with Ruth, and they're going out again the next night, which Homer's like, "But Marge, that's twice now. You're just spending way too much time with this woman."
Yeah, I mean, Homer's definitely looking at Marge as a stay-at-home person. I mean, as much as the Simpsons, I feel like the Simpsons themselves don't go out as much. I mean,
Homer goes out a lot.
Yeah, Homer does. Marge has because Marge has to stay home with the kids because no one will babysit them.
And and I feel like this episode and next episode really show Marge as kind of that wife who doesn't have fun.
Yep.
So, which is kind of interesting. They did those 2 episodes back to back, and we'll talk about that more in the next episode. And so Marge tells Homer, she has trouble making friends because she's always home all the time.
Yep.
And we get another flashback of Marge hosting, I believe, Dr. Hibbert's wife and a couple other wives, I'm assuming, and they're having tea. And Homer runs in, ruining it by wearing a shirt that reads "No Fat Chicks" and complaining about a skunk that squirted him, which he brought into the house that squirts him some more. And the women are
still carrying it.
Because it's Homer. It's Homer. He does stupid things.
He wasn't lying again?
Yes.
Marge, look, this is why I smell. I didn't roll around in garbage. It's the skunk.
Yeah, and so the women run away, and I'm assuming, and we've seen, Homer causes people to move away and to just be disgusted by him, and so, it makes a lot of sense. And so, Homer tells Marge, "Oh, but you can't go out. Saturday's our special evening." And Marge's like, "Why is it so special, Homer?" Because of that show, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Yeah.
Which, was
we
that
all
still
thought
out?
They were talking about sex.
Yeah. Well, was Dr. Quinn still out in the 90s?
Oh,
when
yeah.
did that come out? Oh, 93. 93
Yeah.
to 98. Wow, I thought that was an 80s show.
Nope.
All right. So, now we cut to the next night where Marge is getting ready to go out, and Homer is like, Marge, where are you going? I don't know. Well, when will you be back? I don't know. But where are you going? Homer, you already asked that.
Yep.
And so, Homer's got to babysit the kids, and he brings them to the door as Marge is going out to, get into Ruth's car. And, he tries to use the kids to guilt trip Marge into staying, but Lisa's like, you go, girl. And Bart's like, way to go, Mom. Like, they're cheering her on, like, to get her out of the house.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And so as Marge gets, and I think this might be referring to the kids, not Marge, because Homer goes, man's best friend indeed. And no, Homer, that's dogs. Dogs are man's best friend.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Marge?
Maybe.
Wife. Maybe he's thinking, the wife is supposed to be man's best friend, and she's leaving me.
Yeah. And so we go to Marge getting into the car, and she tells Ruth, who is wearing a leather jacket and smoking a cigarette, that she looks nice.
Yep.
That's nice. And Ruth is like, well, tonight's not about nights. It's about, and she takes a cassette.
Lollipops and rainbows, everything. Oh, sorry. Wrong tape.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows is sung by Leslie Gore.
And this is the episode that this song exists. Remember, there was I don't know, last season or a couple seasons ago where I actually talked about this episode.
Oh,
and this song.
yeah.
So now it finally showed up. I love it. This is so awesome. I love it.
And Ruth apologizes. She's like, oh, sorry, that's the wrong tape. And then she puts in the right tape, and it's Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Yep. I won't try to sing it.
Definitely editing that out.
No, you're not. Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Great song. Great hype song. There is an episode of How I Met Your Mother that there's an episode where Barney has like the best CD where it's like the best songs to get hyped to. And I'm assuming you remember the 2 books that came out for How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah. There's
the playbook and the guide thing. Well, I bought both books, and in the guide is the list of songs that Barney put onto that CD. By the way, too many songs. He could not physically have put all those songs onto one CD because I tried, and I couldn't. There was like 3 or 4 songs I couldn't because it was just too much data. And I don't think Welcome to the Jungle was on that CD, but it's a great song. It's a great song.
Yeah.
So Homer tries to make himself feel better. And the kids are basically calling him whipped, which he's married, so he's not like, I don't know, that was kind of weird. And he like asks, Lisa, women have friends, right? And Lisa's like, sure. And she goes,
yeah.
And so Homer's like, you know what? I have friends. Marge is the only one who can have a girls' night out.
Oh, this is great. So now we get a montage of all the quote unquote girls' nights out things. So first he calls Lenny, and he can't go out because he's shaving someone's legs, but he lies to Homer saying he's watching the game.
Who is that?
His mother?
Girlfriend?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think Lenny had a girlfriend. I thought maybe mother, but that is a girl's thing, like pampering and having girls' night, shaving each other's legs. Yep. And then Homer calls Mr. Burns. Who is this? Oh, no. I like how he's like on a heart-shaped rug with heart-shaped box of candies, kicking his I'll do the girly thing in a pink room because, it's girls' night. And
I love the fact that Homer's like explaining, hey, do you want to go to the ballet? And Burns like, oh yeah, let me just put my pants on. And he's like, wait a second, who is this? And he's like, why am I talking to you?
Yeah. And then Homer third calls Flanders, and right after that answers the phone, hello, Glee Dougly. Click, hello. Just hangs up on him. Because we don't want to hang out with Ned Flanders for girls' night either.
No.
So good takes. I like them. Those are really funny. And so Homer says, screw it. I could have fun by myself. And Lisa's like, I think it's against state and federal laws to require us to have a babysitter.
So I did some research on this, and I wanted to see if there is any laws that would, make it illegal or, illegal to leave your kids home. Wisconsin does not have any statutes or regulations that state the age at which a child may be left unsupervised or left in charge of other children. Now, when we were kids, I think our parents left us home alone starting when you were like 10, maybe, which is Bart's age. I mean, it was only for like an hour or two. Like, it wasn't super long.
Yeah.
But like, I think starting around the age of 10, they would leave us for like an hour to go do something.
But if it was an overnight thing, we'd always have a babysitter.
Oh, yeah. Not until you were like 14.
Yeah.
And I was 10. Like, once you were in high school, now granted, they hardly ever went somewhere by themselves. And even when I was in high school, I can't remember if they were coming to visit you in Minnesota or where they were going, but I had to stay at night at a friend's house. Now, it was the weekend, and they didn't leave me home, and I had to work, so half the time I was working anyways. But, like, they didn't even trust me to be by myself in high school, home alone. I think it was junior year of high school.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they didn't... For a weekend, what am I going to do? I barely had any friends, and I was working.
Yeah. Probably burn the house down.
What? Making myself a bowl of cereal and a sandwich?
Yep. Hey, Homer lights cornflakes on fire, so you know.
I'm not Homer. But federally, though, this could be considered child neglect.
Yeah, if something actually happens.
Yes.
That's the only way you'd actually get into trouble.
So, I mean, most places, if you're like, because I remember even like coming home from school, like, especially, middle school and high school, I'd be home, we'd be home for like an hour by ourselves while our parents were still working.
Yep.
So
Homer asked Lisa if she's ever seen Home Alone. So apparently Home Alone is canon in the Simpsons universe. I like it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
If burglars come, it'll be a funny situation.
And the first Home Alone came out in 1990.
Yeah. So I love that Home Alone is canon in the Simpsons universe.
Bart is kind of like Macaulay Culkin's character.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I like it. So Bart agrees with Homer about not needing a babysitter, and Homer pulls out a card that reads, "Always do the opposite of what Bart says." Well, you do need a babysitter. Blast that infernal card. Now, did Homer write that card, or did Marge write that card to put in Homer's pocket?
I'm sure Marge wrote that card.
Okay.
Although it kind of looks, well, I mean, if you look at the card, it kind of looks like Homer's handwriting. So maybe there was a day where, like, Homer said something, Bart said something different, Homer went with it, and it went completely wrong. He's like, okay, no more of this. I'm just going to do, to remind myself, I'm going to write myself a note that says, do the opposite of what Bart tells me to do.
Yep. And so Bart's like, don't give me that card. Okay. Wait a minute.
I love it. That's fantastic.
So Homer opens the door. We see Lionel Hutz going through the Simpsons garbage.
Well, no. Lionel Hutz knocks on the door and tells them that he was going through their garbage.
Now, is someone suing Homer or...
No. Lionel Hutz is broke, man. He needs food, so he's going through the trash.
Okay. I thought he was one of those like garbage dumpster divers looking for evidence for a case.
No, I'm gonna go. Lionel Hutz is too dumb to do that.
Okay. It's like, all right, I'll be your babysitter, and as a high-powered attorney, I charge $175 per hour. Okay, you get $8 a night and 2 popsicle out of the freezer. 3. No, 2. Deal.
Lionel Hutz, you've done it again.
It's like, and I get to keep this trash bird cage.
Fine, whatever. Lionel Hutz, you've done it again.
All right. So now we cut to Marge and Ruth pulling up to what we could only assume to be shot kickers.
No, Marge calls it shot kickers.
Yeah, I know. But maybe that's what Marge thinks it's called.
Yeah.
Because so we're led to believe that's what it's called. It's like, oh, I've heard the good things about shot kickers. But when we actually look at the sign, there's actually no neon sign. So if it was out, that'd be another thing. But there was actually no neon light in between the H and the S. So I'm going to
go... H and the T?
Or the H and the T. So I am going to go out on a limb and say it was originally called Shit Kickers. And they probably couldn't use that name, so they're going with Shot Kickers.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that's the other thing. I think the Simpsons are using it as a joke, as it could be called Shit Kickers.
Yeah.
But Marge calls it Shot Kickers.
Also, it's a country bar, so I would never be caught dead in there.
No. And so Marge and Ruth are sitting at a table. Some guy comes up and asks Marge if she wants to get lucky. And Marge is like, I am lucky. I'm married and have 3 children. But the guy's like, I always get what I want. And Marge says, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Must have been a miscommunication.
That's very interesting because obviously, it's still probably kind of rampant where guys go up to girls and they tell them no, and they're persistent and they're being creepy. And so this is kind of refreshing to see where, like, some like burly guy comes up to Marge. She says no, tries again, but she actually, she says no a second time. And the guy's like, oh shit, my bad. Yeah. Let me back off here.
Yep.
That was great. I like that. Good. That was fantastic.
Yep. And then we also get a cutscene of Marge trying to line dance.
Yep.
Have a good time. And then we see Otto on the was that at that bar?
No, you're at a different
that bar.
No, we see Willie on the bull at the Shot Kickers.
The Willie. I thought it was Otto. No, it was Willie on the riding bull, which really wasn't really a riding bull. It was just the saddle.
Yeah.
He's like, why isn't anyone else trying this? So then we cut to Homer, out trying to have himself a good time. It's like, sometimes you just have to go where everybody knows your name. And
cheers.
Then he walks into the bar and no one says anything.
Yep.
And then Homer's like, I want to play darts. And Mo's like, we're phasing out the games. People drink less when they're having fun.
I would be curious to know if that is actually true.
Okay. If it was, I was never necessarily a big drinker in a bar. Now, like, we would go in college, like karaoke nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would feel like I would drink more because it was karaoke night and everyone was drinking and we were having fun. Now, games, on the other hand, if I'm playing pool, darts, something like that at a bar, I feel like I do drink less. I'm just more focused on playing pool.
I feel like I'm if I'm playing now, granted, when I played pool, I hardly ever played at a bar. Because we had a few pool tables on campus in college. Now, granted, they didn't start serving beer on campus until my senior year, but like I drank a lot of soda playing pool. I know that's not beer, but I still drink a lot of fluids playing pool. I have played darts at a bar before, and I drank. I had my fair share. Now, granted, here in Wisconsin, when my friends and I would go out to drink at a bar, we would eat and then just get drunk. We would just sit there. We'd play bar games, which would make us drink if we, because that's how bar games work. So we didn't really do pool or darts or anything. We were just there to drink.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it really depends on the person.
Your turn.
So, yeah. So, now we cut back to the Simpsons house. Where they are watching LA Law, which Hutz dismisses as fictional because so we see a shot where a skyscraper, and he's like, oh, lawyers don't work in skyscrapers and have secretaries. Look, that guy's even wearing a belt. No. Good lawyers have all that, Lionel. Good lawyers.
Yeah. Well, it was fictional because it's technically a TV show. So he's half
LA
right.
Law. Yes.
So he's half right.
He's half right. So now we go to the underground club, the Hate Box, which weird name for an underground club, but okay. And this is where Otto is.
Yep.
And Mayor Quimby.
Yep. And so we see Marge encounter Mayor Quimby at that nightclub, and his statement that he said he's there with his nephews is a reference to the Teddy Kennedy, William Kennedy Smith alleged rape incident.
Oh. God, I hope that's not the real reference.
No, that it's in my book.
Yeah, because a book can't be wrong.
Well, usually references in my book are pretty cut and dry.
That's a horrible reference. Why would you reference that?
Well, because it's Mayor Quimby, man. Isn't he like a Kennedy? Yeah,
but still, you don't need a reference an alleged rape. That's horrible.
But that's why he was at the nightclub. I don't know. Simpsons had to throw something in there.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they did. They had to throw something in there.
So I love how they're like all dancing and whatever, and like Quimby is like covered. But here's the thing: Quimby is covered with like paint.
Yep.
So maybe he was there with his nephews.
Maybe, but no, I'm guessing it was a thing where Teddy and William Kennedy were at a club like this.
Yeah.
And that's where the allegations came in.
All right, well, we're moving on from that. So Homer goes, now we see Homer going to the Quickie Mart where, he looks at Apu's magazine rack and there's a few there. I do love the one he picks up, it's Jet. There's like a bridal magazine. I couldn't pick out the third one. But the Jet magazine has a picture of Bleeding Gums Murphy on the cover.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't know if you noticed this, while Homer's reading the Jet magazine, behind him is the slushy machine, and it just has the word red on it. There's no flavor, just red.
Well, Homer does like purple. Purple's a good flavor.
Purple is a good flavor. So Homer starts reading the Jet magazine, and Apu kicks him out. He's like, this isn't a library. And so then we cut to the Springfield Public Library where the librarian's kicking him out for eating a hot dog. She goes, this isn't a Quickie Mart.
Oh, that's good.
That is fantastic.
But remember, the hot dog vendor does follow Homer around, so maybe it's the library's fault for letting the hot dog vendor into the library.
It's possible, very possible. And so now we get Ruth and Marge. They're pulled over to the side of the road, so Ruth could show Marge something in her purse that happened to be a gun. And Marge's first instinct, for some weird reason, was, "You're not going to hunt me for sport, are you?"
It's kind of a Ruth Powers thing. She's pretty aggressive and crazy.
Yeah, but she said she would never pull a gun on another animal, except for maybe her husband.
She would never pull a gun on a human being,
except her husband.
Yeah.
And so then Ruth turns around, shoots some cans. Marge shoots a can. She feels great about it. And then some old guy comes around. My antique cans. My antique cans.
That's always funny because you wonder why old people are just leaving their cans. Now I would tell you this was a joke, but I shit you not. I have been to butt fuck nowhere farms and properties before where people literally do leave cans. Mostly they're beer cans. My guess is they're out drinking with buddies or whatever, riding horses or whatnot, and they finish a can or maybe half a can, leave it on their little fence post, and just never bring it in, and then all of a sudden there's just a pile of cans sitting on there. That's would be my theory why there's cans sitting out. But this is now the antique cans part I think is funny because people probably just leave them out there for an extended period of time and they just become antiques.
Yeah. That's pretty good. So it's Ruth's turn to go, oh, it's getting late. And Marge goes, psh, it's only midnight. I know a place. And so we get to the Springfield sign, which is obviously a parody of the Hollywood sign.
Yeah,
I would say.
So my question to you would be, is this the first instance of the Springfield sign?
I feel like it was in one of those cuts for Kent Brockman's show.
Okay.
Ion Springfield.
Now, was that on the actual, like, a news segment, or was that just his little sign behind his head for the news segment?
No. I think it was actually, like, it showed the sign.
Okay. Wait. This would... Well, no, that's a make-out point where Homer or Artie, Ziff, and Marge went. They never went to the sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is the second appearance of the sign, but, like, the first, like, where anybody actually goes to it.
Okay. All right.
I think.
Perfect. Okay.
So Marge explains to Ruth that her and Homer used to come up here for dates, and we get yet another flashback where Homer is smashing a weather station, and Marge's like, Homer, this is a weather station. And Homer's like, but it's fun to smash things.
It is fun to smash things.
It is. And so when we cut back to present day, Marge and Ruth are sitting on the top of the S in the sign.
I'm guessing there's got to be a ladder behind it.
I would hope so.
Because that would be really hard to climb the S.
Well, yeah, because if they have to clean the sign, because I know they clean the Hollywood sign. So, I mean, maybe there is a ladder that they just use to climb up there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Or like maybe along the back of it, there's like a catwalk.
Oh, maybe.
Like connecting all the letters, maybe. I don't know.
Possible. I don't know. But they got up there.
Yep. And so I like how they could say, Ruth's like, wait, we can see our houses from here. There's a lot of smoke coming out of my chimney. So we come back to the Simpson house and Lionel Hutz is burning all of his papers and clothes apparently and everything. He's like, Mr. Hutz, you're burning all your things. Lionel Hutz no longer exists. Say hello to Miguel Sanchez. So he definitely broke the law somewhere along the lines. And
it's Lionel Hutz. Of course he broke the law.
And he had to change his name pretty quickly. And so Marge's like, I guess we should call it a night. And I gotta get home before my daughter turns on that naked talk show.
Ruth says this, by the way.
Yep.
Ruth, yeah, that's
naked
great.
Talk show. I want that talk show. What station's that on?
HBO.
Never heard of that talk show. Is it Conan O'Brien? Conan O'Brien's the new naked talk show.
No, nobody wants to see it. Did you never stay up late at night and turn on HBO after midnight?
No.
Were you not a hormonal teenager?
I don't know. I mean, I went to bed. Apparently you did. Okay.
I'm saying for a friend.
Uh-huh. Okay, for a friend. All right.
Were you never a hormonal teenager? You never wanted to see naked people?
I didn't know, but I didn't know there was a naked talk show.
Yeah.
There was. Okay. Well, apparently you watched it. I didn't. I was not up just scouring the TV stations for naked talk shows like you. All right.
You were not a horny teenager at one point?
Yeah, I had the internet.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we did. We had the internet.
Barely.
Yeah, it took a long time, but we had the internet. So Homer walks into frame as Marge and Ruth are driving off, and Homer says, young love.
Oh, Homer.
Apparently, he didn't know.
It's make-out point. It is a make-out point in Springfield.
He didn't know who was in the car.
Yep.
And so Homer sees a new weather station, and he stops he starts to hit it, and stops because he's like, it's not fun if Marge isn't there.
Yeah.
And so Wiggum comes out of the bushes with moonshine that he made himself in the middle of the woods, apparently. He has his own still in the middle of the woods.
Well, I mean, you can't do it at his house.
Yeah. And he's like, and he throws it and it explodes because...
moonshine. Well, moonshine. So here's the thing. Moonshine can be very flammable.
Yes. But I think it still needs to be lit on fire. I don't think you can just huck it and it explodes.
Well, maybe he hucked it at his mini distillery back there.
Ooh, good call. All right, I like it. And Homer tells Wiggum that he is there because Marge is having a girls' night out, and Wiggum tells Homer, just get a blow-up woman, but make sure it's a woman.
Oh my God. So dirty. I don't remember this.
Yeah, but we all know Wiggum's pretty dirty. He always goes to those dirty movie theaters and stuff.
And the brothel.
Yeah. And so Wiggum is decided to give Homer a ride. Now, how Homer would... Now, I get that Homer can walk to these places. I get that. It's possible because Springfield's small. I get you could walk to these places. This is not Homer's character to walk to these places.
Maybe he took a taxi.
Maybe
he took that one taxi that the town of Springfield has.
Yeah.
Because they do have a taxi, I believe, in the town of Springfield.
Yeah. And so Wiggum decides to give Homer a ride home. And Wiggum notices that Ruth's car's one taillight is slightly bigger than the other. No,
that's what he says.
No, that's what he says. But I would think maybe one headlight was brighter than the other, because if a headlight's brighter, it would appear bigger.
That's possible.
Because the car that they drive was stolen, obviously, from her husband.
And we don't know that until.
Well, it's a 1996 Thunderbird convertible. So I would have to assume it's in well-maintained.
What's the car? Thunder Cougar Mellencamp from Futurama or something?
The Thunder Cougar Fackerbird?
Yeah, the Thunder Cougar Fackerbird from Futurama.
Yeah. So he decides to pull him over.
Why? That's not a pulloverable offense.
I thought if you have your taillight, maybe
if the taillight is out, you can pull over. But if one is just slightly bigger than the other, you don't need to pull them over.
Maybe. So
that's just a car defect.
Yes. And so Marge tells Ruth,
but obviously the story can't happen. And
yeah. But they can't because the car is stolen. And so Wiggum's like, ooh, a good old-fashioned car chase. And he pops in a tape. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything. And then they all start singing, like Homer and Wiggum start singing in the car. And so they pass a sign that says, entering Badlands. High-speed chases, use Diamond Lane.
So apparently there's a lot of high-speed chases in the Badlands?
Well, that, and I'd also think like the Diamond Lane in most cities is the carpool.
So I did look this up. There is a Badlands National Park in South Dakota.
Yeah, I could have told you that without you looking it up.
I forgot. I figured when I saw that sign, I'm like, I know I couldn't remember where the Badlands were. So now we've talked about them being possibly in Utah.
I feel like, is there any other Badlands? Like, I would almost think like Nevada would have a Badlands too.
No, there's a Badlands National Park in South Dakota.
Yeah.
I think, so so do they just drive from Springfield all the way to the Badlands?
No. I think, okay, so.
But they would have to be in South Dakota.
Yeah, okay, but hear me out. I now understand. So if they're in Springfield at like Shot Kickers and the Springfield sign, and now they're in like a deserty area.
Yeah.
I think that wherever the swap meet was is now technically can be part of Springfield.
Yeah. So are they have to be in South Dakota then?
Yeah,
because once they cross state lines, Wiggum has no jurisdiction over Ruth and Marge. And as we find out in about 5 minutes, the rest of the Springfield cops show up.
Yep.
So like if they're in South Dakota, then the Springfield cops have no jurisdiction, and this would be a federal thing.
Yeah. So, Ruth tells Marge that her stole her ex-husband's car because she was behind on child support. And Marge tells Ruth she should have just reported him. Yeah, Marge, you're the level-headed friend that I never had.
That is true. Like now, I don't know any couples who've divorced that have kids that have gone through this. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if whoever is supposed to pay child support is behind, you go to child services or wherever you need, family court, and be like, yeah, this schlub isn't giving me my money.
Yep.
Give me my money. And usually I feel like most places when there's child support involved, those wages I think are just they're just taken out of the other person's paycheck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Wiggum, reports the car chase, and he's like, one suspect is wearing a green dress, pearls, and has a lot of blue hair. Now, before I get into what Homer imagined this is, how did Wiggum know that she was wearing a green dress and had pearls? Because when we cut back to Marge, she has a sweater around her neck. So you cannot see the pearls. And you cannot see that she's wearing a green dress because the dress is a crop top.
Yeah, you really can't see it.
It's night outside. You can see the blue hair if there's street lamps, which there are none. So unless he pulled up really, really, really close, maybe he could have seen the green dress. He definitely could have seen blue hair because the lights on the car would have shown on them. But there's no way he knew she was wearing pearls. So then Homer laughs about the blue hair and he's like, what a freak. And he like imagines like this alien thing where like the beads are like the hair strands and like the blue hair is like a beard. And then they hit a bump in the road and like reconfigures his thought into Marge.
Yep.
And he's like, oh my God, it's Marge. She's become a crazy criminal because I didn't take her to the ballet. And then Wiggum's like, that's exactly how Dillinger got started.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, now we cut back to Marge, and Marge tells Ruth, well, maybe we should pull over. And they can't because she can't let her ex-husband win. And she tells Marge, well, I'll let you out once we lose the cops. And Marge's like, we're not losing the cops. Or no, she's like, that'll be way too hard. They're trained professionals. And Ruth turns off her her lights, and Wiggum just freaks out because the taillights
are gone. Car.
I hear they're everywhere out here. And Wiggum's like, Homer, will you hold me? Only if you hold me. And so they hold each other.
Oh my
as God. The coyotes howl in the night.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
So now it's getting to be daylight. And Ruth drops off Marge at a diner and says, bye. And Ruth, she doesn't leave right away. Marge goes into the diner and she looks over as she's about to call Homer to pick her up, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And we go to one booth and two friends are like, oh, we wouldn't have gotten this far if we didn't stick together. Friends stick together. And we get a couple booths of doing that. And we get to the waitress. I hate it when the waffles stick together. They taste better.
Waffles sticking together is what good waffles do.
No, that means you just didn't separate the batter enough.
That's good.
That's a terrible chef.
Oh, I like it.
That was great. So, after hearing these people, confess about sticking together, Marge contemplates about her decision. And while this is happening, we hear a siren in the background. Yes. Now, you would assume that's the cops coming for Ruth. But hold on.
We all know that Homer and Wiggum aren't chasing him anymore.
Because
they didn't want to chase a ghost car.
Yeah, so we hear the sirens, and all the customers leave and hop in their cars and drive off. And Marge, Ruth is filling up her car. She gets in her car. Somehow, Marge was able to walk past Ruth into her car. She didn't see her.
Well, she was filling up gas. She just wasn't paying attention.
I think if you're at a car, you're going to notice somebody getting into your car.
All right, I'm going to sneak up on you one time when you're filling up gas and see if I can get in without you knowing.
You're going to drive 4 hours all the way to Green Bay to do this.
No, I'll wait till you're here and then do it.
But I do it when you're at work.
Oh, okay.
And so we see that Marge is going to stick with Ruth. They leave as well. We keep hearing the siren. And then Kearney comes in on a bike with a helmet and a red light spinning and a siren going. And the owner of the diner comes out and yells at him. And
drive away all my customers.
I'll see you tomorrow, loser.
Oh, that's great.
That is fantastic. So now Ruth and Marge drive past Chief Wiggum on the side of the road with Homer, and they're cooking eggs on his engine.
Wiggum and Homer are making fried eggs on Wiggum's car engine, and Wiggum's like, engine block eggs. If we keep these down, we'll be sitting pretty. And then Marge and Ruth whiz by. That's them. Quiet. I can't hear the eggs.
What? Oh, God. You don't need to hear. Oh, well, I guess you wanted to hear them sizzle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Their engine must have been hot overnight or they left it running.
Yeah. Yeah, they must have left it running. So now we cut back to the Simpsons household. Bart, Lisa, and Maggie have fallen asleep on the couch. Bart wakes up, realizes Homer and Marge aren't back yet. And Lisa's like, oh, well, Hudson's still around. And she wakes him up, but he jumps up and pulls a knife. He's like, I said not to touch my stuff. And then he realizes where he is. Wait, this isn't the YMCA. Which is possibly a reference to an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Oh, maybe.
Because there's an episode where a guy says this isn't the YMCA.
Or is it a YMCA technically not like a shelter? Aren't some YMCA's like a shelter for men or something? Where
men's shelter. Some YMCA's will be men's shelters, so it's possible.
But then we cut back to Wiggum, and he's saying, we're back in pursuit. All right. What's your location? I'm on a road. It looks to be asphalt. Oh geez, trees, shrubs. I'm directly under the Earth's sun. Now. Well, to be fair, he is in literally the middle of nowhere. So
yes. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to, tell someone what your location is. But that's why. But folks, this is why there are mile markers every mile, and in some cities, actually more than every mile on the highway.
Yes.
And
yes,
so in desert towns like that, I think mile markers are almost like every quarter mile. So, in case your car stalls and you're in the middle of nowhere and can't do anything, you could literally tell someone, where you are, which is a good idea. I mean,
yes.
you do want to have that.
Yep.
And so now we see Hutz and the children are watching TV when the news cuts in to a show of the high-speed chase. And Ken says the women are guilty and must be dealt with in a harsh and brutal fashion because he fears anarchy and other women rising up, and the TV puts the technical difficulty sign on.
Yeah, going on TV and saying that stuff, definitely going to get you fired.
Yeah.
Well, at the bare minimum, you are going to get suspended.
Yep.
But this should probably get you fired.
Yeah.
Because women are going to complain.
Yep. And so we see Ruth and Marge driving past the state line 2-mile sign. But we don't
Which
know
state line? Which state line?
All of them.
South Dakota? Because that's where the Badlands are.
Exactly. Maybe Arizona? I don't know. But Ruth says that they're going to make it and it's going to be okay. And then we see a ton of cop cars coming from the other direction. So either they called in backup from other cities, or Springfield actually has the largest police force in the world.
Yeah, because Marge is like, the entire Springfield police force came out. And there's like 30 cars.
Yeah. So Springfield Police Department's a lot bigger than we...
That, or maybe some of those cars were like federal cars.
Maybe. They called in the big guns.
Yeah.
And so Ruth is like, well, I'm a single mother. I can't win in a man's world. And Marge says, hooey. And grabs the steering wheel and turns it, off-road, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they went off-road. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have done that?
Yep. And so Ruth says they're going to make it. And then we get an aerial view that shows they're heading right for the Grand Chasm. Now,
so are they in Arizona? Because that's where the Grand Canyon is.
No. So that's why it's called the Grand Chasm, because they're not in Arizona. Now, Springfield has a gorge.
Where are they, Steve?
Now Springfield has a gorge.
But this isn't the gorge. It's the chasm.
I don't know.
Where are they? Where in the world are the Simpsons?
I don't know. Because they would have to be with... Well, okay, so Springfield has a grand... a Grand Canyon. So the Springfield Gorge.
Yes.
Maybe they're on the other side of the Springfield Gorge.
They're not, though, because there's garbage.
Right. I don't know. Who knows? And so Homer says that he gets on the megaphone.
No. Well, they're in the car. He's like, oh, it's going to be... they're driving right towards the chasm, and it's all my fault. Yep. They're trying to teach men a lesson. What lesson is that, Homer?
And so here it is. So Homer grabs the megaphone. He's like, look, Marge, I'm sorry I haven't been a better husband. I'm sorry about the time I tried to make gravy in the bathtub. Wow. I'm sorry I used your wedding dress to wax the car. And I'm sorry. Oh, well, let's just say I'm sorry for the whole marriage up to this point.
Apparently, I did read somewhere that Castellaneta actually recorded these lines through a megaphone.
Nice.
Which, it does sound megaphony, so it's possible.
Yeah. And so Marge is like, he's right. And so Ruth stops just short of the chasm.
Well, no. Well, no, because Homer's like, he apologizes. He's like, but please don't drive into the chasm.
Oh, that's right.
And they're like, and Marge and Ruth are like, chasm? And Ruth hits the brakes and stops just short of driving into the chasm.
Yep. And Homer and Wiggum drive straight off the chasm. And I like how it's like the car pauses midair, and then it starts falling as it fades to white.
Yep.
And then we see that they landed in a garbage pile.
Landfill.
And Wiggum's like, oh, they were protesting this landfill.
Yeah, he like calls the environmentalists stupid.
Yeah, because they were protesting the landfill. And Homer jumps out, is like, oh, ew, mwah, oh, mwah, ew, mwah, ooh.
I think this one was pizza.
Yeah. Oh, gross Homer. But he's happy. Yep. And so now we get a narrator describing the fates of the characters in the style of Dragnet.
Never watched it.
Nope, never watched it. Next up, Ruth Powers was tried in Springfield court. The judge dismissed her ex-husband's auto theft charges and forced him to pay all back child support. Ms. Powers blamed the outcome on his lawyer, one Lionel Hutz. Lionel Hutz, a.k.a. Miguel Sanchez, a.k.a. Dr. Gwyn Van Thok.
Yes.
Was paid $8 for his 32 hours of babysitting. He was glad to get it.
By the way, $8 an hour for $32 is like 25 cents.
Yeah. Marge Simpson was charged with a violation of Penal Code Section 618A, wanton destruction of precious antique cans. She was ordered to pay 50 cents to replace the cans and $2,000 in punitive damages and mental anguish. But that guy really liked his cans. Homer Simpson was remanded to the custody of the United States Army Neurochemical Research Center at Fort Meade, Maryland, for further testing.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom.
And the stylization of the credits was a lot different than normal, because normally when we like their normal credits is a black background and yellow lettering.
Yes.
This one was the Springfield Police badge on a red background with white lettering.
Yep, probably for the Dragnet theme.
Yeah, probably. That's probably how Dragnet ended up. Like their shows ended, I'm sure. So, final thoughts. I enjoy this episode. It's very good. Very light on the references, very heavy on the story. I almost felt that this was like kind of the beginning of like where the Simpsons would start an episode at one place and kind of end up at a different, not completely, because you had the Ruth Powers connection, and like it was mainly a story with a little bit of a B story with Homer.
Well, I don't know if it's really a B story. I think it's just like any.
Is it A1 and A2?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of flip-flopping between what the story was. Homer doing his thing, Marge doing his thing. It wasn't something completely
like, but I feel like, because like, you know, the start of the episode, they're watching PBS and it ends with, you know, people getting in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it wasn't weird because they got there through the points. Obviously, some of those plot points, you know, worked. It was really good. It was really funny. A lot of funny stuff. You know, the references are really, really good. You get, you know, the Property of Ned Flanders stickers, as, you know, the girls' night out thing with Homer. You get Ruth Powers coming back. It's really good. I don't know if it goes up to that level to me for a 5. I feel like there was something slightly missing from this episode for me. It is a great episode. It is definitely one that when it comes on, I will watch. You get the Sunshine Lollipops song in there, which is great. There's just something for me missing. There is an element. I can't quite place it. So I'm going to give it a 4 sprinkles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to do 4 sprinkles as well. This is a fantastic, really funny episode. I mean, yeah, the Sunshine Lollipops thing. I sing that quite a bit every time I get in a pickle of some kind or just want a pick me up. So that's really amazing. It's an episode I definitely remember, like watching it. It's an episode I remember watching numerous times. And
the one thing I don't remember is that blow up doll line.
I just like Homer's inability to function without Marge around. I mean, it kind of works, makes them, the almost like the perfect couple, because they can't be separate. Marge, you never see her as the bad girl or anything, so it's kind of funny to see her in the realm of doing something against the law, trying to evade the cops. The Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, that the whole ending was kind of reference to the Bonnie and Clyde trying to
Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
And getting out of Dodge. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
The PBS thing always cracks me up. I mean,
I still think they did it better in the one episode.
Yeah. But it definitely ties in. I love that this is in the universe. And
the best part about this episode, Home Alone is canon.
Home Alone is canon, yes. So, and you can't discount the fact that Homer has a card that says always do the opposite of what Bart says.
That is true.
So why don't we see in the future how many opposites Homer tends to do against Bart? Because that'd be kind of, let's see if Homer obliges the card numerous occasions.
I think they kind of go against that in the very next episode.
I know, right? Yeah. So let's finish it off with our character profile. And this week we have Ruth Powers. Her status: divorcee, single mother. Yep. Her daughter, Laura Powers, one-time love interest of Jimbo Jones. Daring. Her persona is daring yet conventional. Reason for divorce: all her husband ever did was eat, sleep, and drink beer. Your point being.
Yep.
And her transportation: 1966 Thunderbird convertible stolen from her ex-husband.
Thunder Cougar Falconbird.
Yes. And she packs heat. She does. Just in case. You never know. So let's let you guys know where you can find us. Head over to our social media: Facebook, Simpsons Did It Podcast; Instagram, Simpsons Did It Pod. The Simpsons Did It Pod. Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. Feel free to donate to our podcast. Check us out on buymeacoffee.com/Simpsons Did It. And all your donations will go towards merch and other fun things like that we'll give to you when you donate. So be sure to do that.
Yep.
You could head over to our YouTube channel. Just type in the Simpsons Did It podcast. We've gotten a few more subscribers since the last time we checked in with you guys. So
thank you.
Definitely good to see more people joining up. And you could also give us a call, 612-584-0986. Listen to our voicemail, leave us a voice message, let us know pros, cons, things you like, tidbits about episodes that we've done. Review an episode for us, maybe that one that's coming up, like, hey, when you guys talk about this is my thoughts on it. Or ask us a question about upcoming episodes. That'd be great too. Anything you leave, we'll listen to and maybe play back on a podcast. Finally, I just like to let everyone know that our numbers are definitely getting better, week by week. I honestly don't know what the cause is, but I like it. And either way, our estimated audience is almost up to 70 listeners, which is awesome. So I'd say let's shoot for, by episode 10 of season 5. Let's see if we can get to that 100 mark. 100 listeners. I want 100 listeners listening to us, and we'll go from there. So make sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let us know what you think. So until next time, I'm Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.